Hello everybody, my name is Felicia and this is In My Travels. Thank you so much for being here. So if you are interested in learning how to make friends in your newly adopted country, you've come to the right place. I have done all of those things and so much more in Sweden, in France, and South Korea, and most recently China. I'm now here on YouTube, and my goal is to share my life experiences with you in this domain. And so let's get started. All right, the number one way that, especially when I was in France, but this has also helped me everywhere else I've ever traveled, let alone lived in, is to hang out in cafes. I did not know what a cafe was until I moved to Sweden, not France. You know, France is very, very famous for its beautiful cafes, but I moved to Sweden at the lovely age of 20 or 21, and I started hanging out in cafes. And I thought the ambiance was perfect for me. You know, you have what do you have? You have a beautiful decor, you have wonderful food, and you have really cool people, cool looking people. And I liked it so much that in the midst of me learning Swedish full time, I actually got a job. It was my first job in Sweden, working at a wonderful cafe. So not only did I get to hang out in cafes, I got to see how everything came together from behind the scenes. So with that being said, you can hang out in cafes, you can, meet people, you can do all kinds of things. You can meet the people who actually wait on you, maybe you strike up a conversation, etc. Or you can maybe volunteer to work there. That's what happened to me. And then I started getting paid for my work, and that was even better. So, we're just hanging out in cafes. I'm someone who loves to be surrounded in a beautiful space. I love beautiful spaces for the design concept. I love a space that has wonderful flow. When you go in, you just feel that someone has actually thought about your presence and how you want to move in that particular space. These are the things that I pay attention to. But in terms for making friends, I think cafes are wonderful. So whether you are in France, Portugal, Costa Rica, I'm sure if you don't live in a place that currently has cafes, I'm sure there are some beautiful or chic or fun little restaurants or, big, beautiful restaurants. I don't know. I say always talk to the people who work there, become a regular, and that way you can strike up conversations, and you never know. Maybe you can meet them out for drinks and a friendship ensues. That's number one. Meet people in cafes. I'm looking at my notes as well. I think the obvious is number two, joining expat groups. Now, this will, of course, have you meeting other expats. Some people, that's a nice way to do it. But I also think better than that is to volunteer. Here's the real number two. Why don't you volunteer at a local school? Maybe you can help the teachers or the staff with English or other skills that you have acquired, and then they in turn can help you learn more about your new surroundings. They could probably help you with learning the language. Perhaps you can give them an hour of English, and they can give you an hour of, say, French or Portuguese or Spanish or German. Just an idea. That's what I would do. And the reason why I say that, and maybe it's easy for me to say, is because most of the time that I've been in the US, I've either worked retail or I have worked in education as a teacher, as a French teacher, and I've done both. Yeah, I've worked in retail 20 hours a week and then full-time 40 hours a week as a teacher of French. So yeah, volunteer at a local school. I'm sure they would love to have you. And, I'm not saying that you should get a job, but you can definitely volunteer. And I think that's another way of you integrating into your new society and in your neighborhood. You'd be surprised. Volunteer at a local school. Always, always gravitate to education, to meet people, to help people, and in turn be helped. Voila. Number 3, cultural events and festivals. I know that I think I have never experienced more festivals in my life before living in France and in Sweden. France has the Fête de la Musique. They have so many. The Fête de la Musique is the music festival that takes place all over the country of France, and Portugal has so many festivals as well. I think people in Europe just, I don't know, I think they take pride in, I think, just living, just being alive. Not, maybe the word pride is not the proper word, but they take joy in living and celebrating music, art, all kinds of things. And there's always a festival going on. And of course, especially in the summertime, because most people are on vacation, most people have time to celebrate, to relax, and perhaps you want to maybe assister or helping setting up a certain thing at a festival, or volunteer your time at these events, because it's a wonderful way to meet people. It might lead to a business. It might lead to, who knows, it might lead to the love of your life. Je ne sais pas, I don't know. But I think it's a fun way to just further integrate yourself into your newfound country, your neighborhood, your city, and just allow people to meet you as well. When you're moving abroad, it's not just about you learning all about you're going to integrate and assimilate to them, but it also gives people a chance to learn about you, the person, and also you and your culture, right? I was born and raised here in the US, and I have my own culture. I come from the South, so we have our own culture, and then there's, just life in general. So number 2, festivals, all kinds of festivals and events, volunteer. I think it's a great way to meet people. God knows I have met so many people because of these things. All right. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do? When I was in Portugal recently, this was last summer, I've been to Porto. I've spent time only in Porto twice, once in Lisbon. But I noticed, as I spent time in Porto, I noticed that there were a lot of ceramic shops, but also there were a lot of ceramic classes going on. And I said, wow. Now, I've only taken a ceramic class twice, I believe twice in my life, and that was in high school. But what are your hobbies? Perhaps you can go on a website like meetup.com, and I think Meetup applies to any and everywhere in the world. You can do meetup.com France, meetup.com Portugal, etc. So what are you interested in? Are you interested in photography? Perhaps there is a local group. If you're, let's say, in Portugal, maybe, find a group of photographers. Perhaps they go on excursions. See if you can join. Maybe you don't speak the language that well now, but what a really fun way to get to know the language of photography while learning about photography with local people. What are your hobbies? What do you like to do? find those same people. I'm sure there are people who like the same things that you like in wherever country you happen to be now. That's the thing. When I lived in Paris, lived in Paris, this brings me to number 4. I joined a women's group. Now, I don't know if this women's group still exists, but I think it was a part of the American Women in Paris group, but the one that I belonged to was the Black American Women's Group of Paris. I don't remember the official name, but what I do remember is not only did I meet other amazing Black women from all over America who now happened to either, marry Frenchmen or, French woman. Well, no, this was all for, it was just, anywho. As someone who joined the, I think it was called Black American Women's Group of Paris, I met other amazing Black women from the United States. And the highlight of that membership was being invited for the 4th of July event that was held at the embassy in Paris. So I think Quincy Jones was there. I don't know if Lauren Bacall was there. Perhaps Shaka Khan was there. I don't remember seeing her, but I do believe that she may have been there. I know there were some really iconic people who were also celebrating the 4th of July, and I was at the same venue with these awesome American people, and it was something else. So I got to meet these incredible Black women from all over the U.S. who have now decided to call Paris home, decided to call France home. And then I was being announced. We were all announced one by one. And so I had to speak to someone, and he said to me, he says, okay, so what is your first and last name? Tell me how to pronounce it, all right? And then where are you from? And then it was my turn to be announced for everyone. Everyone was announced. What a moment that was. So they said, my name of Virginia, and I walked over to the ambassador, shook his hand, and then I went into the crowd. There's this beautiful, beautiful garden, and we're all celebrating the 4th of July. But here we were. I was just a member of this women's group, and here we were celebrating the 4th of July in Paris among people I had only read about or seen on the big screen or the little screen. What a moment. Join a women's group. Join a women's group. All right? I'm telling you. And here's another one. I know that some of you may be religious, so you could, in Paris, I'm just going off of what my experience was in Paris. There is the American church in Paris. And there I found not only, of course I could worship. I never worshiped there. I'm not a religious person whatsoever. If you are, great. If not, that's great too. But I find that if you do go to church and you are religious, that's another way to meet people who think like you, who believe as you do. And when you are moving into another country, when you move to another country, that could be a really wonderful way to feel grounded, right? Yeah, and the few times that that I've been to church, there is a wonderful sense of peace when you are around. It's basically fellowship. That's what fellowship is. You are there. We are all of one mind, one thought, and it is to, fill in the blank to, what, worshiping in your religion does for you, right? So that could be a really wonderful way to meet people as well. And that, not to say, it was the American church in Paris, but there were all kinds of people there. There were French people there. There were, people from all walks of life. It wasn't just for Americans. So that's another way, if you wanted to worship, whether you are in Portugal, you're in France, etc., wherever you are, you could meet locals in a church. Just an idea. Just an idea. People meet everywhere. Go where people gather. So, cafes, education, you were talking about schools or universities, volunteer, right? Volunteer. And one that I forgot, and I think is maybe as important as the cafe one, because I love cafes. I meet everybody at a cafe. The fifth and last is sports. Join a local gym. Find a local yoga class or whatever, sport, that you like to practice. I think it's a wonderful way to meet locals and keep healthy. Perhaps, you've been working out in the States. This is not the time to come over to a new country. And yes, it is so tempting to, especially if you're moving to France, to eat to your heart's content. Of course, that's what you're going to do. Of course, that's fun. But at the same time, I know a lot of people are moving away because they have health issues and things like this. So join a local gym. Sign up for a local class, whether that's yoga, Pilates, judo, stretching, walking. Maybe I should do that in my own town here in the U.S. Some of my neighbors, I can tell they want to walk with me, but they know when I'm walking, I'm serious. I'm not here to lollygag. Honey, I'm exercising. Yes, I'm having a great time and everything, but I don't stroll. I don't do that. So, but that's not important. Or now I'm just thinking, start your own. You could start a walking, maybe you want to walk. You could put up a little, going back to the church, in churches and in supermarkets, they have like a community wall. You could put up a Post-it or something, put your name, and you can say, hey, I'm looking for a walking group, or I'm looking for a yoga group. My French is not so good, or my Portuguese, whatever. Just join. I'm sure they would love to have someone who speaks English, someone from a different culture join their group. And so there's a real exchange, and you're there. All of you are of one mind, thinking that and knowing that exercise is very important. So you're there exercising, but you're also there meeting people at the same time. These are some ways for you to get off of YouTube and actually meet real people, your neighbors, real people in your newly adopted city, right? Please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. I forgot to say that, like 5 minutes ago. But if I've given you value, please like, comment, and subscribe to this video, to my channel, because I have these tips and so much more. There's so many stories, but more than stories, real value, real pointers that I can share with you that helped me a great deal when I was in your shoes as a newbie in this new space, new country, new culture that you now happen to be in. And if you're not there yet, I can still help you, because there's so much preparation that you need to do before you move abroad. And it's not just the logistics, it's here mentally. You have to mentally prepare, because if you don't, you might just be in your new country for about a month and you're going to want to turn around and say, oh my God, this is more than I can handle. And if that is something that you don't want to do, let me know, because I can help you weather the storms that will surely come. It's going to be a fun but sometimes bumpy ride. And yeah, let me help you navigate that. It's, leaving all that you know, your culture, your language, your family, your friends. It's not a small feat. It really is not. But I'm going to tell you, whether it's for a month, 3 months, or a lifetime, it is so worth it. So, again, thank you for being here. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, get off of YouTube and meet some people. Meet some people in your neighborhood. Ciao. Bye.